there's two pieces of good news this week. And the first piece of good news with regards to Julian Assange, and honestly, I do not know how long. I really don't. First off, there's no charges for the Vault 7 leak. Now, the Vault 7 leak that WikiLeaks leaked were on March the 7th, 2017, I think it was. For those of you who don't know, the Vault 7 leak basically exposed all of the CIA's hacking and malware capabilities. They exposed the fact that they could track you through TVs and they could install malware. It was, you know, TVs, listening devices. It also exposed their ability to use Trojan horses and their ability to fabricate false flag hacks. The sort of which that CrowdStrike found absolutely all fingerprints of all over the DNC servers. Now, one man that was pissed off at the time when the Vault 7 leaks happened, remember this was beginning of March 2017 when Julian Assange still had his communications, was this guy, James Comey. Or Black Rock. Well, thank you for doing this, Patriot Herman. Answers I don't know and I don't recall, and I don't remember 236 times, but somehow remembers enough to write a book. I like that meme, that's why I picked it up. But so James Comey was really pissed off at the time because him and he was FBI director and he was trying to come up with some sort of deal along with I think the Senate were trying to come up with some sort of deal. Well, let me explain. This is in consortium news. It says, did Senator Warner and Comey collude on Russiagate? Warner's the guy who's really an anti-Assange guy, and I think he was the guy who signed the letter that was putting pressure on Ecuador. He was one of the main senators back then. And it says this article in consortium news, and this is by a very reputable source, Roman Government. It says this: a deal that was being discussed last year between Assange and the US government officials would have given Assange limited immunity to allow him to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has been exiled for 6 years. In exchange, so they're talking about he's talking about, I mean, this is 2018, I think it came out. June 2018. So they're talking about 2017. When James Comey was still the FBI director. A deal that was being discussed last year between Assange and US government officials would have given Assange limited immunity to allow him to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he has been exiled for 6 years. In exchange, Assange would agree to limit through redactions some classified CIA information where he might release in the future, according to Solomon, who cited interviews and a trove of internal DOJ documents turned over to Senate investigators. Solomon even provided a copy of the draft immunity deal with Assange. So Solomon is this guy who wrote an article for The Hill, who actually did this investigation. And there just seems to be a lot of weight around this. You know, Assange was you know, they really wanted to try and give him some sort of immunity deal to go and get to the bottom of all sorts of different things. But it says here, the Comey's intervention to stop the negotiations with Assange ultimately ruined the deal, Solomon says, quoting multiple sources, with the prospective agreement thrown into serious doubt. Assange then unleashed a series of leaks that US officials say damaged their cyber warfare capabilities for a long time to come. These were the Vault 7 releases, which led to the CIA director Mike Pompeo to call WikiLeaks a hostile intelligence service. So this is what it was all about. They were talking about giving him some sort of immunity. Comey put the kibosh on it, so Assange looks like went, okay, boom, there you go. There's Vault 7 unredacted, a lot of it. It looks like looks like that's what he wanted redacted, or wanted some sort of protection from, these Vault 7 links. It certainly looks like it to me. The timing all adds up. Now, so he's not going to face any. He's not going to face any charges for that. But why would he? But then why would he with the Chelsea Manning thing? You know, but it's it's curious to me that he's not going to get any charges for the Vault 7 leaks. I mean, those are leaked just the same as the leaks that he had through Chelsea Manning. And no charges are going to be filed through that. You know, it pissed them off. But by the way, CrowdStrike having the fingerprints of those sort of, you know, false flag hacks all over their servers, it really is like, you know, why would they need the CrowdStrike service? Why would they need the DNC service, you know? Why would the FBI need the DNC service if they already knew what was on there and what they would find, eh? Anyway, so this revelation is noteworthy because of the backstory to it, and I wanted to make people aware of that, you know, there was going to be some sort of deal there, and it looks like Comey put the kibosh on it, and that's when Vault 7 was released. You know, giving away all these hacking secrets. This is the, by the way, it's not politically motivated or anything, this isn't, you know, it's not politically motivated. So there's no charges for the Vault 7 leaks, and also the Uppsala court, I think it's Uppsala court, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Sweden. Now this is the same court which rejected the prosecutor's application for an extension because he couldn't speak to Assange because of his ill health. They have now rejected the request for his European arrest warrant. They've totally rejected it out of hand. Which means he can't be extradited to Sweden. That's what it means. He can't be extradited to Sweden now. Which means this whole charge, the reason that man there right now is spending 50 weeks in a Supermax prison for avoiding, this whole charge wasn't even worthy of a European arrest warrant. The charge he's spending 50 weeks in a Supermax right now for allegedly skipping bail on a charge that wasn't worth a judge in Sweden thinking, yeah, that's not worth a European arrest warrant. I thought to myself, how common are these European arrest warrants? So I went to Wikipedia. I shit you not, I found this on Wikipedia. European arrest warrants have been issued for minor offences such as possession of 0.45 grams of cannabis, theft of 2 car tyres, driving a car under the influence of alcohol where the limit was not significantly exceeded, and theft of a piglet. They issue European arrest warrants for all of those things, but Assange skipped bail allegedly on something that couldn't even get an arrest warrant when all of those other things could, and he gets 50 weeks in a fucking Supermax prison. I wonder why Assange and supporters of free speech and freedom of the press seem to think that Julian Assange can't get a free trial in this fucking country. I wonder why. I mean, that driving the car under the influence of alcohol, so that's a DUI that wasn't a DUI. An arrest warrant was given to a DUI where he didn't exceed where he wasn't drunk enough. And they gave an arrest warrant for that, but not for Julian Assange, and he skipped bail on that charge and got 50 weeks in Supermax. I'm not sure whether I'm the only person who was actually, you know, connected these two things, but certainly nobody in the fucking mainstream media has. This, of course, the reason why it was dropped was, of course, this rape charge wasn't a charge of rape at all. From what actually I could tell, as I've pointed out in another video, it was essentially consensual sex without a condom, which is, many people have said, consensual sex without a condom. If that's a charge, lots of people are going to go to prison because that's fucking. All of this is good news, isn't it? Right? So they've dropped he can't be extradited to Sweden. You know, so there's no charge there, and No, it's not good because he's still in Supermax prison. He's still in Belmarsh. He's still in the UK's Guantanamo. And the constant reopening and the constant talk of this charge of rape in the media, even though it wasn't rape, it was consensual sex without, i.e. fucking, with somebody who wanted to fuck him. Neither of those women are saying, no, I didn't want to fuck him. No, they wanted to fuck him. Oh, God. But 7 years of it, 7 years of it in the headline has obviously changed the public's psyche. It's changed the mood of the masses towards him. If you constantly associate one person with the word rape, guess what? Some of that mud is going to stick. And in 7 years, a lot of it is going to stick. Assange's name has been dragged through the mud for 7 years. It's been dragged through the mud. For 7 years, his name has been smeared. For 7 years, he's been slandered with these lies, with these baseless allegations that are politically motivated. For 7 years, this has happened. By a media baying for his blood, cheering it on. Being mercilessly attacked by them as they cheered on his torture. They cheered on the torture of a publisher of truth. He published the truth and they cheered on the torture of him. You have to ask why. Because all the while they knew his only crime was doing their job better than they ever could. And then once you understand that, then you understand the mentality of the media. Because they really are that disgusting. They really are. And that's what this is all about. It's not about rape. It's about the fourth estate. And it's about how the legacy of media have totally abandoned their duty to it. They have cheered on, and facilitated the torture of a publisher who does their job better than they ever could do. And does their job with a moral compass better than they ever would have. That's why they've done it. Chiefly, that's why they've done it. Closely followed by having no fucking backbone. Because this is a direct attack on journalism, it's a direct attack on a free press, a free speech, and ultimately democracy itself. That's what this is. And I really hope, I really wish that people would just scream that at the media. Will you start framing it like this? This is a direct attack on free speech, on democracy itself. That's what this is. Make no bones about it. And the fact that the media aren't framing it that way just tells you how complicit they are in it. And the fact that I am tells you all you need to know about them. And it highlights again how cowardly they are. In that now they say this is bad. Now they all come out and say, oh, extraditing him is bad. It would be a bad thing. After 7 years of cheering it on. 7 years of facilitating it, 7 years, this would not be happening without them facilitating it. And they've just come out and all of a sudden gone, no, this was bad. No, extraditing him, this would be bad. They haven't fucking once apologised for dragging this guy through hell. They haven't once apologised for them being complicit in the torture of somebody who was not told the fucking a lie. He's told the truth every time. This is why I showed the media down at Westminster Court last week. This is why I showed them no respect whatsoever. They don't deserve it. That's why. Because it's why I told them to move aside, to get out the way. If they had done their job properly for the last 7 years, none of this would be happening right now. None of that would be happening. It's only the media that have facilitated it and allowed it to happen and cheered it on. They are complicit in it, and they've been allowing the torture of one of their own because he does it better than all of them ever have. In 13 years, an average of over 1 million documents a year, with scandals which have rocked the foundations of hundreds of nations around the world. Hundreds, yes, including Israel and China and Russia and all the other countries that you people say, oh yeah, what about... Yes, that country too. For 13 years. And never had to retract a word of it. This David, Julian Assange, he's collapsed corrupt governments. This David in WikiLeaks has collapsed corrupt governments. He's put an end to massive corruption around the world and stood up to Western Goliaths like the American, the biggest of them all, and struck fear into their black, soulless, warmongering hearts to the point where they've had to silence and torture him for fear that he might tell some more truth about them. Not lies, truth. And the media in this country and in America and elsewhere cheered it on. I've said over and over, Julian Assange created the digital fourth estate flawlessly. He moved it into the 21st century. I've said it over and over. And he said to us in letters from the UK's Guantanamo Bay, we need to take his place until he is free. Stand up to those lying bastards in the media. You can help. You really can. If you get active, you watching this now, get involved. Stand up to the lying bastards in the media. Write to them. Tweet at them. Get in their faces and shout at them if you have to. Be polite, be respectful, but get in their faces. Demand that they tell the truth about Assange. Demand that they frame it in the right way. Demand that they actually motivate the masses to care, because they bloody should. Shame them into it. And until that day, until they are finally shamed into it, when, you know, which will probably be the 5th of never, let's face it, because I don't think they have any shame. Until that day, I and other people in independent media will be doing it. Support us, support independent media. We tell you the truth. And so did Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning, by the way. And that's what they're in prison for. And that's why these journalists won't bloody do it. They're spineless. Free Julian Assange. And please, tell as many people as you can. Tell people in the street, if you can. Tell people at the shops. Tell your friends why they should care about this man. It really is that important.